Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Level Up with 220 Publishing. My name is Stephanie Reynolds, here with my illustrious co host, Miss Jaime A. Gill. And we're so excited to have our first guest on to be able to kick off Level Up and introduce you to some amazing authors.
That's right. Level Up is our opportunity to bring authors to the world. 220 Publishing is a part of 220 Communications, a family of companies that is about branding, consulting, distribution. We want to be in your homes in every way, on your bookshelves, in your wine cellars, but most importantly, we want to bring you excellence. And we are so excited about our first guest being Miss Greta Preston because she is not only a woman of excellence, she has a
Yes,
story that inspires excellence. And so we thought
absolutely.
it would be very fitting that this first show that is launching during Women's History Month on International Women's Day
Yes.
is so fitting. So we just want to have you help us bring to the stage Miss Greta Preston. Welcome, Greta.
Well,
Welcome.
hi guys. Thank you. First of all, I just
Absolutely.
want to say to you, Jamie and Stephanie, thank you so much for walking me through this process of this journey that is beginning in my life, and I am excited. So thank you.
You're welcome. As you should be, girl.
Ah,
Yeah,
As you should be.
absolutely.
I
Absolutely. So, first of all, congratulations
thank you.
because not everyone can say that they are a published author. Having worked with a lot of want tos and wish they would haves and start but didn't finishers, it is amazing when someone actually crosses the finish line. You know, it's not something that we give enough credit to actually finish that journey. So, congratulations on your intentionality, on your follow through, and on actually doing what it is that you set out to do. So, congratulations.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
but now we want to get into the book
Yes,
because
ma'am.
this book, when I was reading it, and I shared this with you, I so can see it as a movie. Like it had all the things. It had a little bit of Temptations and Five Heartbeats, and then it had a little bit of Tyler Perry, and it had a little bit of Harlem Nights. Like it was all the things. So tell us about your book and what made you want to write this book.
Well, first of all, let me take you back to the beginning of how I discovered my title.
Mm-hmm.
It was 5 months into my husband's death, and after which was in 2002, and I was just at the place where I was dealing with my pain and agony till I just all I wanted to do is just wipe all my pain away. So what I did was party. I
Mm-hmm.
party. And so 5 months in after his death and burial, I got to a place where I got in solitude, and the Lord dealt with me, and I'm like, Lord, okay, I am so tired of myself. Lord, tell me what I need to do. So one evening, I was sitting in the middle of my bed, and obviously I do hear the voice of God, but at that time I did not want to hear anything because I
Mm-hmm.
was feeling in my own mourning and in my own grief, and I heard the Lord say, he said, Greta. And when he called my name, I promise you, I thought it was audibly because it scared the living daylight out of me. And so when he called my name, and I said, and I was crying, and he said, make a decision. Choose this day if you're going to choose life or death.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to go home with your husband, or you can choose to live this life and the promises and the purpose that I have given you. He said, choose it this day. When
Mm.
he said that, girl, I got up, I jumped up, I ran into in my bedroom. We had an ensuite. I ran into the bathroom and I started washing my face. I was crying to the Lord. I'm like, okay, God, okay, I'm going to do this. I said, but Lord, you are going to have to help me. And that's where the story began. And I never forgot the title. And it just stayed with me because for some reason I knew the Lord was going to use me. I thought maybe just to minister the word of the Lord using those terms, life after death,
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
he raised me up, after losing someone that was so dear to me. We're talking about 30 years. Met him when I was at the age of 14 years old.
Wow.
That was definitely my first love. And,
Mhm.
and so I just made a decision. God, I'm going to live. Just tell me what I need to do. He didn't give me
Wow.
any instructions. He just said, get up. And so I made the decision to get up.
Wow. That's
That's
amazing.
so powerful because
Mhm.
oftentimes we think about, you know, marriage and marriage vows.
Mhm.
Stephanie, you're a married woman. We all have been little girls growing up dreaming of my husband has not arrived yet. And but we all think about those until death do us part.
Mhm.
And when
Absolutely.
we're young, we don't think about those words, right? But as women that have gotten older, we think about the death part now of
Mhm.
life and what happens. All of us have taken care of loved ones if they have passed on, whether it was a spouse or grandparents or, you know, for you, Miss Greta, please explain to us how how you heard your vows differently after your husband's death. That
Mhm.
commitment that you not only made to him, but you first made to God.
Mhm.
You mean after his death?
Yeah,
How did
because you think about like what was living. Because when you think about, richer and poor
absolutely.
to, sickness and health, death do us part. So you think that we're married until death do us part, but you don't think about living with this person, without
Because
this
Mhm.
person.
had
Right.
planned on living with the both of
Yeah.
us, living our
Yeah.
years up in age. So to answer that question for you, Jamie, I didn't even think about that. I didn't
Mhm.
think about that I would ever lose him at such a early age. And so um when he did die, I completely felt in my spirit. I wasn't mad with God, but I told God that this is wasn't until death do us apart, because I
That's
Right.
what
felt cheated.
the
I
time,
Right.
yeah.
cheated. He was 45 years old. I'm like, God, don't give me that till death do us part. Well,
Right.
well, I did, but I did not actually appreciate to death do us part until after I started getting into, when I decided, when the Lord spoke to me and said, I need you to write your story. I did not appreciate it until I got into the story and started writing about
Mhm.
the both of us. And then at the end of it, I realized I did. When at the end of the writing of the story, I realized,
Yeah.
God, we did it to death
Yeah.
do us part. That made myself, and I said to him, I am so proud of you for making it, allowing us to get through this relationship, because
Wow.
relationships are not easy.
No, they
And
are not.
for by us knowing and meeting each other, I was 14 years old when I met him,
Mm.
and he was 19. Oh my God, we went through so many ups and downs, trials and
Mhm.
tribulations, where we made decisions at moments to say, okay, I quit. I don't want to have nothing to do with this. But
Right.
we made a vow. I think the love was more important than the vow. And
Mhm.
so when we decided that we were going to stick in there and hang it out, that's when God came into our lives, and we began to get born again and live the life that God has chosen us to live after maybe about 15 years of marriage. But the first 15
Wow.
was definitely a struggle. And so, yeah, I did not realize that it was till death do us apart until after I got into the writing of the story to really appreciate God. Yeah, we won.
Yeah.
I said to my husband, I said, we did. We did it. We won. When
Yeah.
the odds were against us. Come on. Back in the 70s and 80s, people don't stay long married long together.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it was an honor after he passed. I didn't realize going through it at the time, but yes.
Wow.
Hey, hindsight is 2020.
It is.
Tell you the
And it
truth.
speaks to one of the things that you said that I think is so powerful. And I think it speaks so much to the power of writing your story. It's
Hmm.
something about seeing your story in black and white that gives you a fresh perspective on it. You don't even realize some of the things that have happened until you start writing it and you're able
Absolutely.
to see your life in such a different way. And I think that's what's so powerful about being an author. But to go back
Yes.
to 14 and 19, without giving away all the story, because it's 140 pages of a lot of good stories, so I don't want to give it away, but tell us a little bit about that. Like, how did you meet him? How did that kind of develop? Because one of the things that you can tell so much through your story is the love was real. Really, from the beginning, there was just this undeniable connection, and you can feel it throughout the entire story that love ran deep. So take us back to the beginning and kind of introduce us to the 14 and 19-year-old who met each other and fell in love.
Well, actually, we came from religious backgrounds. So obviously, our parents and his parents, they were religious people. And
Mhm,
so, growing up as a child, I always went to church. And I felt that in my household, I was a
mhm,
leader. And I'm sure he felt that too, because he was, when I met him at 14, we were in church. I
mhm,
was in the choir, and obviously he was in a choir, and we were doing a musical. And so, God rest his soul, our pastor, that the church that I belonged to,
mhm,
we did a musical and invited his best friend, which was the director of Martin Luther King High School, and they
mhm,
established a choir. And my husband was actually a part of the choir. So
mhm.
we teamed up, and they invited them to come out to sing for our musical. And that's when I first met him singing. And so,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So right away, I was so taken by his voice and obviously his good looks.
Look,
Yeah,
side note, that's another character. His
he was
looks and his
definitely.
voice
Oh,
they're a whole nother character in the
I was
book.
smitten. I was smitten the moment I met him. 14 years old. And I remember the my girlfriends that when we were together, sitting and we were all trying to pick our own men. You know how we are. We tried to say, that's mine, don't touch him. No, no, that's
Stephanie and I have few of those moments in church.
Yes.
Yes, as
oh,
youth.
and
Yes.
everybody knows that's mine. Leave it alone. And so we actually had dinner, and after the musical, and everybody went downstairs, and I was part of serving the food, and they gave me the opportunity for him to come over to the table, and I greeted him, and I said, "Sir, what do you need?" He said, "I need you." I said, "Oh my." That's exactly how it went. And when he at first I caught him in the corner, and he was dazing at me for a long period of time before he came over to get his food. And so we just knew I don't know. It had to be God
Mhm,
for to bring us together for such a
mhm.
time as that. And from that point, we just made a decision that we were going to see each other. And so, there was his friends, they all came back, to our choir rehearsal. They even set it up, arranged the time to like go after the musical. We thought we weren't going to ever see them again. Oh, they made it a point to come back to our choir rehearsals to join, to be a part of it. It was like five guys that was along with him. And so all of my friends, we end up picking our men's out at that time. And so that's basically how the beginning of our love relationship began. So
Wow.
yeah. And so falling in love, I was so smitten by the idea that I had finally met someone that knew what they
Mhm,
wanted to do and what they
mhm,
wanted in life. Because the guys that I grew up with, the neighborhood boys in my neighborhood, I mean, they didn't have any dreams. They didn't have any
mhm,
visions. And I was so smitten by this man. This man knew what he wanted in life at 19
Wow.
years old. And when I met him, he was already traveling. He was already
Mhm.
performing in many engagements. He was like with William Devon, the guy that wrote the song
Mhm.
"Diamond in the
Mhm.
Bass," "Sunroof
Mhm.
Top,"
Yeah.
"Digging in the Sea."
Digging in
So
the
he was
sink with the
traveling.
With the
gangster
gangster
lean.
lean.
Yes, he was
Eh.
doing all of those things, and I fell in love with the thought that this man is amazing, and so the story began. You know,
So
Wow.
when you talk about the beginning,
Mhm.
now let's fast forward to when you begin to wrap your mind around the fact of the reality that this is the end. How had he changed?
say that again. When I started, what do you
When you
mean by
think
how?
about the beginning of who you met in the beginning, and you think about the end, with the reality of the end of his life coming to an end. How had he changed as a man? Was he the same man when you saw him at 45? Was he the same man that you saw at 19? Like when you looked at him as a 45-year, did you still see your 19-year-old
Obvious,
heartthrob crush
absolutely
or
no, absolutely. I mean, you go through so many stages of maturing and growing up.
Yeah.
One thing I can say, the reason why I actually started to write this book, because I always thought that he died prematurely. And
Mhm.
there was something that I needed to do, I thought in my heart, to allow his legacy to live by writing this story
Mhm.
about our love life. And he was at a place when I met him at 19. He was so excited about being a star. And that
Mhm.
was the only thing that he always wanted to be, was to be famous, to be a star, and to be well known. So I
Mhm.
knew that going in. And so Roscoe lived his life trying to accomplish all of those dreams and ambitions that he's always wanted. So when I met him when I was 14 and he was 19, he was aspiring. He wanted to
Mhm.
be somebody. He was not like anybody else that I knew. So going from trying to be a star, getting married, I don't think he anticipated or to get married at 19 because he wanted to be the star. And so when
Mhm.
you get married and have a family, that actually that kind of puts a
changes some
hold
things.
on, it
Right.
Yeah.
change things, and it stops your career and you can't do exactly what you had set out to do. But when he fell in love, he had no other choice. I mean, it's like he made a decision: I want to be with you. But I think at the same time he thought that he could be with me, have a family, have children, and still pursue this musical career, which
Mhm.
I found it very, we both realized that was a very difficult thing for us to do.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
as us to remain healthy and stay married, and for him to still seek out this career that he always wanted. So in the time of us being married, during the time of us being married, I can see that things were not progressing the way
Mhm.
that he wanted to, or moving fast like he anticipated it to be.
Mhm.
And I can see that his dreams were starting to fade over the years of our marriage. And that's probably why I can say that we had some difficulties.
Mhm.
Uh, our marriage began to be strained, because you have to understand, I came into the relationship and I understood that that's all he wanted, was to
Mhm.
stop and was to
Mhm.
pursue this career. And I don't think he really understood the I don't know what the word, that I don't think he really understood the amount of responsibility that
Yeah.
he would have to carry along with being a celebrity.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell the whole story, but I can
Oh,
tell you the
we have to
reason.
get the book for that.
Right. The reason why I wrote the story is because I want people to know, in spite of how his life ended so early,
Mhm.
gave him, and he pursued, he lived a life of 6 people. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
he
Mhm.
actually, God gave him exactly what he had believed
Mhm.
and dreamed to be, but it just wasn't the way that he wanted.
Stop.
He
Mhm.
he became the biggest star. He became
Mhm.
the biggest celebrity. I mean, by the time when he passed away, there was almost 3 to 4 thousand people at his funeral.
Mhm.
I mean, from all over the place. And
Yeah.
so, he was bigger than life itself. But
Mhm.
he died with a broken heart, thinking that
Mhm.
God did not answer his prayer. And so
Mm.
the reason for my book is to let the world know God did it his way, and
Yeah.
he became a legacy within himself, and he did the things that one could ever dreamed and ever hoped. I mean, he accomplished so many things, and I don't think he ever realized it. And so when
Realize it.
writing my story, I realized God did all of those things for him. I mean,
Yeah.
and he had a wonderful life, just short lived. I mean, who can meet all of these people within all of the within 20 years of his life, from the
Oh
10?
yeah, it's a lot of name dropping in the book. Oh, it's many a
Absolutely.
names.
Absolutely. I'm like, God, I'm like, you did give him exactly what he was created to be. Just wasn't in the way that he wanted it. But and
And
so
real quick,
yes,
I want to speak to that point because I think that another impactful aspect of reading a book and reading someone's story is you're able to learn certain things and apply it to your life, right? So even though we're reading your memoir and we're reading your story, there's places, because I think we all felt like we should be so much further along than we are now. I think we've all felt loss and hurt and disappointment, and so one of the things that I admired throughout the book is just the support that you showed him as a wife, even though, you all had your issues and you had your moments and all the things that comes with living that life. But there was a level of support and believing in him, I think, that you showed throughout the book. So, what would you say to someone who, is reading your book and they're at that place where either one, they're married to someone who's very ambitious and trying to figure out how to support and love through that person's journey, and then also what it does to someone when you don't quite, because throughout the book it seemed like he had in his mind a lot of almost but not quite, right? So it's
yes,
like he felt
yes.
like he was almost there, but something wasn't quite to the level that he wanted it to be at. So how would you encourage a wife or a significant other or even a friend who is trying to support through that? And the love is real, but as you know, there's a lot of challenges that makes it a little difficult.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that what one needs to understand when you're in a relationship, you not only have to be in love with that person, but you have to believe in that person.
Yeah.
And from the very beginning, I believed in his dream.
Mhm.
I believed in him. I knew what he was capable of doing,
Mhm.
and because of the pursuit that he had in the beginning of the relationship, that's how we met.
Mhm.
So there was no way in the world that I would try to strip him from that after we're married. So,
Yeah.
I would say, if for anyone that's pursuing purpose or a dream or a ministry, anything, you have to believe. You have to be able to believe in that person in order to support them. I believed
That's
in
good.
everything that he was about.
Mhm.
That was the very reason I fell in love with him, because he inspired me in so many ways, but yet I stayed in the background because his strength and his career overshadowed mine. So I'm thinking like, oh no, I'm not worthy of that. I'm just going to stay in the background and support him and lift him up as a wife.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
did the best that I could, and
Mhm.
with the knowledge that I had. I didn't do everything always right, you know
Mhm.
and sometimes he felt maybe that I didn't encourage him. But in my heart, I really believe God. I'm like, Lord, if this is for him, I am going to support him in that.
Mm.
And I think that that's what kept our marriage together, because of the love, because of the
Mm.
support that we actually had for one another. And
Mm.
so, and I would encourage anyone or any relationship, any spouse, man or woman, when you are in a relationship, you have to be committed to the process, to the
Yeah.
marriage itself, before you can be committed to the dream,
Mm-hmm.
to the mission or the vision. And I think that that's what caused me to help him. And also it takes a godly woman.
Yeah.
If I wasn't a godly woman and believing in godly and having the God kind of ways and that willingness to stay married to someone that was
Yeah.
seeking something that other than me, because I always said that, his first love was the microphone. His first
Mm-hmm.
love was his entertainment. His first
Mm-hmm.
love was definitely not me. I used to tease him all the time. I said, I'm not your first love. Your music, your career is. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any problems with that because that's how we met. And
Mm.
so, yeah. And so I tried to the best of my ability to support him by keeping him up before the Lord. Because
Mm-hmm.
one thing about it, when I got born again, I didn't want to see, because you see all the excitement out there with the celebrities. You know what people get into when they reach
Right.
stardom. They lose a sense of integrity, because
Yes.
the dream is all they want to pursue, and they forget about themselves, their integrity. And I did not want to see that with him,
Right.
because he loved it so much. I was
Mm-hmm.
really afraid that he would lose himself, because
Well,
Mm.
I think that's what I appreciate about your story is that you fell in love with who he was and not who you wanted him to be.
Yeah.
Right?
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You walked into it, as sometimes we don't always do in relationships, men and women. We think we can change them. We think we
Right.
can we can encourage them to do things another way. But even
Yeah,
at such a young age, you were able to recognize the gift that he
Jamie,
Mm-hmm.
there was,
had in your
that's the
dream.
fight. That is the
Mm-hmm.
fight.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to encourage him at the same time, but at the same time, I did not. Like the scripture says, what does it take a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul?
And
Lose his
lose.
soul.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
and that's what I felt in my heart. God,
Mm-hmm.
once I got born again and realized, for God we shall live, and for God we shall die. I did not
Yeah.
want him to die, and meet his death and not be satisfied and see God. And so, so I had mixed emotions about it all, because I'm like, God, okay, God, let him do it. Okay, God, okay, God, don't let him do it. So yeah,
Yeah.
it took
But I
a
think that that's the beauty of the transparency, right? Because your book is such a mirror of emotions, for
yes, it was.
emotions, for marriage, for just process.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many things that man, woman, married, single, divorced, widow. Like there, I often, when I began to read a book, I was like, who is this book for? Like, who is this book
Mm-hmm.
for? Oh, this must be. And I'm be very honest, because I've never been married. You kind of walk into it timidly, like, well, I've never been married. I can't identify. But there are just so many moments there that mirror just the human experience, no
Mm-hmm.
matter where
Yeah.
you are, and the faith walk. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
even the title, Life After Death, speaks to not just the physical carnal death that we all will experience one day, but the death of a dream, or the death of expectation.
Yeah.
And I think
Mm-hmm.
that that's why everyone should read the book.
Absolutely. And it speaks to growth. I think
Yeah.
it
Yes,
is
ma'am.
it shows the evolution of just going from, as you talked about, being 14 and 19 to, finding yourself, to having a family, to meeting God, to, navigating through all these other relationships, you finding your career. So you trying to find
Absolutely.
yourself outside of who he was and kind of the bubble that you had created with him. So it really talks about growth and what that looks like in real time, in real life, and in a relationship, because that's really ultimately, when you think of marriage, it's two people committing to growing together. Come
Yes.
rich, poor, life, death, all the things that we're going to grow together. And as you know, growing comes with growing pains. And so just to
Absolutely.
kind of see how you all navigated through that together, tell us a little bit about, what that journey looked like. So, I told you there was a little bit of Harlem Nights in it. So you all had some interesting
Don't
stories
you
there.
my pinky toe.
you know,
I don't want to
and
get too much in the story because once
yes,
you start talking about it, but
you
one of the things I wanted to say that he had such a strong personality and
mm-hmm,
strong strength till where I got to the point I was hiding in his shadow. As
mm-hmm,
we were talking about
mm-hmm,
earlier, and I did not know my own strength, and so it got to a place where I got to a place where I just like got tired of it. I'm like, God, I began to die within. While yet he was living, I was beginning to decrease. And so I
mm-hmm,
made up in my mind, and that was part of the struggles that we had in our marriage too. I mean, you can't elevate and then have me not elevate. And so it was the hardest thing in life for me to make a decision. Okay, I still believe in you, but okay, but it's time for me to stop hiding in your shadows. I
mm-hmm,
tell him all the time, I got to come out, and
mm-hmm,
he would did not want me to do that because once I got born again and I started getting into my passion, my purpose, he started seeing me step away from being supporting him. I still supported him, but my focus and my vision was more toward
it
me.
shifted, right? Mm-hmm,
So many years of me him striving to want to be a star, and I think that once he got to that plateau and realized that, God,
mm-hmm,
this is not going the way that you are planning in my life, because I pulled all the way. And I really believe if I did not pull away and try to find myself, our marriage would have been destroyed, and
mm-hmm,
it would have come to an end. But when I made a decision that, God, I started being lost within. I made a decision. I'm like, God, I need to find who I am, And
mm-hmm,
so once I begin to have that inner search and search for my own purpose and passion and what God has called me to do, he started to be affected by it. And when
mm-hmm,
and when he started to get affected by it, I seen that after a while he started to change because he
mm-hmm,
realized that the focus is no longer on him anymore.
yeah,
And that was a hard decision for him to want to support me, because
mm-hmm,
all these years I was supporting him. And so
mm-hmm,
when I began to seek God and find out who I was and begin to pursue that, I think the change began. I seen the sadness come because I think he started to give up at that point, because
mm-hmm,
he was beginning to do what God wanted him to do. He got
yeah,
born again, he got saved, he became a worship leader. He started to do
mm-hmm,
things that God had called him to do. And at the same time, when he realized that he was no longer pulled in that area where he was, I think
mm-hmm,
he began to just let him begin to have a broken heart and realize, okay, God, I just made up in my mind, you're not going to give me what I want. I'll do what you want. But he did it grudgingly.
wow,
I'll do what you want, but I I'm not happy anymore. And then from that point, it was downhill, and
wow,
oh yeah. And so, yeah, I don't want to get into the story, but I just
I
wanted,
don't. I'm actually going to pause you because I want to go back to something that you said that I think is so important that I know we all can attest to. about being a whole person when you
Mhm.
enter a relationship. Now that's hard to do at 14, right? You know,
Mm.
you just be kind of
Right.
I followed
you
him.
you're just
Right.
waking up, right? And
Yep.
as women, we all have life is evolution, right? Within ourselves, we're constantly evolving. And one of the things
Yes.
that as I mentor, I try to tell young ladies all the time to be careful when their whole world is their man, right? The only
Mhm.
time they're spending is with their man. And
Oh
I
my
have
God.
some young ladies in my life right now who I love so dearly, and they're becoming new moms, and the only things they do are their time with their man, and with their kids, and they
Mhm.
don't do anything with girlfriends. They don't even do anything by themselves. It's either with their man or with their kids. And it just makes me so nervous for them as an older woman, because I recognize that life shifts, stuff happens, and you never anticipate anything negative, but the importance. And I would love for you to just speak on just to the women that are out there. And man, I'm not leaving you out because it's important for you too, but as women, how important it is for you to know who you are as you
Mhm.
enter a relationship and continue in a relationship.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Because in the beginning, when I made up in my mind when I got married, I got pregnant at 18 at the same year. I got
Mhm.
pregnant at 18, and then a couple months later, I was pregnant. So I found myself being a wife and a mother at the
Mhm.
age of 18, raising my a family, and my whole life was involved with raising a family.
Mhm.
I didn't go. I made a decision that I didn't go to college. All those
Mm.
things that normally that a young lady or a young woman pursue at an early age. What do? As soon
Mhm.
as you graduate, you go. The plan is to go to
To
college.
go to college.
I
Mhm.
made a decision that I was going to be a housemaker, a wife, a
Mhm.
mother. I did all of those things, and in the midst of that, I lost myself. I lost
Mhm.
who I was. And so
Mhm.
just to encourage, it's okay to get married. I think all,
Mhm.
relationship marriage is instituted by God,
Mhm.
and God blesses marriages. But at the
Mhm.
same time, you have to be able to allow yourself to evolve in your marriage. And so
Mhm.
that's a very difficult thing to do because I lost everything. I lost myself. I lost I was insecure. I lost my drive. And I was a very talented young lady, gifted
Mhm.
in and talented in everything. I was singing myself. Do you know we both were singing? I stopped singing. I stopped doing
Mhm.
all of those things to follow him, and
Mhm.
to just encourage young marriages, young people that are going through it. You don't have to lose yourself.
Mhm.
You don't have to, because God has given you all those things. Yes, it is a blessing, but at the same time, you have to learn that God is called and there is a purpose, and he has something for you as well. And so
Mhm.
Right.
in the middle of my marriage, I realized I was dying. Not
Mhm.
I was dying within, and I'm like, God, there's got to be more to this than that. And I think if I hadn't have found who I was and found my
Mhm.
calling and the purpose that God called me to walk in, I think I would have lost my marriage. I would have lost
Mm.
everything. But because I found myself, I think that's what kept my marriage together, and that
Mhm.
caused us to strive and me to continue to lift him up and pray for him. I had a redirective. You
Yeah.
can't lose focus on yourself. You got to, and I
Mhm.
had to learn to love myself all over again, because you're
Mhm.
talking about a man that I hid in his shadows for so many years because he was
Mhm.
so big, you
Mhm. Yeah.
know, and it was hard and it was a struggle. And so,
Yeah.
yes, don't lose yourself. Like I won't say I made the mistake, but I waited so many years, and it took too long for me to find myself. But I think it's better. It's better that I did than never to find myself. And so, yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
That's good. The more that you talk, the more I realized just how layered the title of your book is,
Yes.
right? And
Same,
so
Steph. I
even
was thinking the
though
same thing.
it's
Wow,
just
really?
talking about,
Yeah,
Yeah.
his physical death and you rebuilding after that, there are so many layers to what died, what had to live after that death, whether it was, you all getting saved and you had to die to that old self, to
Mm-hmm.
you having to die to old ways of doing things. He had to die to his old expectations. Like there's so many layers to this book. And so I encourage everyone who goes to read it that you don't read it just for the story, but you read it for the lessons, because all within those pages are so many lessons about life and love and
It's a mirror.
relationships
yeah,
and so many things. And so it really is, well, it's because ministry too. Ministry is in you. And so,
yes,
you
yes,
can't
it is.
help but to infuse everything you do with that. But just for the reader, when you read this book, understand that you are getting more than just a fun, entertaining,
It wasn't
heartbreaking in
just a
some
love
places
story.
story.
Yeah,
No, it's
Yeah.
not just a love story. It is full of lessons that you can apply to your life in terms of just how to do life when life doesn't always turn out the way that you are expecting it to,
absolutely.
which is something we can all relate to.
Yes.
So, Miss
Yeah.
Greta, tell us about life for you now. What is life for Miss Greta Preston, the author? What is
What,
that? What is
but once I realized and found myself in the midst of when he was alive, and started pursuing what God wanted me to, and then for him to take him out of my life, and for me had to start all over again. That's the reason why the story Life After Death. And so I beginning to continue to pursue, because you have to realize when I was born again, I started to pursue my career before he died.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I was traveling. We were the Lord. I was ordained as a minister, and we started traveling on a prophetic team and traveling all over the place. And then all of a sudden, I had to back up. I had to stop, and I thought that I can't die in this place, Lord God. You showed me my purpose, and so that had to. I had to relive that. I had to come
Mhm.
alive again. That's the reason why it's called Life After Death. And so
Mhm.
at this point, in my ministry, when I met my husband after 5 months, 8 months after he passed away, my first husband passed away, God gave me another life to live. And so when
Mhm.
after I got remarried, I continued to pursue. Uh, I just took one day at a time. I didn't know how to do it and what I was going to do. I just made a decision that I was going to continue to pursue my purpose and live the life
Mhm.
that God has called me to live. And so, what I'm doing now, um, continuing in the ministry, the Lord gave me in 2012. He says, I need you to get up and I need you to be the founder of this 2020 Vision Women's Ministry. So I just, whatever the Lord told me to do, I just took step by step. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just listened to God and said, Lord, he said, I need you to get up and be the founder, do a women's ministry. I did it for 7 years, 7 years straight. So the Lord has given me so many, I should say, he has encouraged me so much that there is life in me. And so I have a
Yeah.
women's ministry, not only a women's ministry. I was starting to pursue this breast cancer awareness gala. I
Mhm.
diagnosed with cancer, and I'm figuring if you can bring me from the depth of everything that I've been through, surely God, it's not time for me to
Surely.
die now. So
Absolutely.
came through breast cancer 2023. There's so many things that I've seen that the Lord has brought me through, and it's like
Amen.
there is no reason for me to stop now.
I
I
love
really
that.
believe that
I love
greater
that.
is He that is in you
That's right.
than he that is in the world. And if God has put it on the inside of you, there is no devil in the world that will be able to stop what God has for you. And I just
That's
remember
good.
God said, there's life that you still need to live, Greta. choose
Yeah.
to stay.
And
Who
and
you
I,
gonna
and I
Yeah.
know we're running out of time, but you're giving so much life
Yes.
to the people that will hear, that are listening. And but I want, and I need to ask this question. We talk a lot about, for those of us who have a relationship with God, and faith is our foundation. It's easy for us to say things like we heard from the Lord or God called us to do. For those that may be listening that are trying to understand when God is speaking to them, or
Hmm.
what is God's voice, especially in the day and time where social media is running rampant and there are so many voices in our head because of what we're scrolling through at the end of our nights and the beginning of our day. How do you help? What would you say to those that are listening, trying to discern if God is speaking to them and how God is speaking to them?
well to
And I know
even
that's a loaded question,
it's
but
very
I just want,
for the question.
that's a loaded question, but I want people, because that's something that I'm very passionate about, is helping people to recognize God in their life. And so
Mhm.
just based off what God has given you, what would you give to others to discern the voice in the move of God in their life?
First of all, I would love to encourage everyone that don't know the Lord. I would encourage you to know the Lord, get to know God for yourself, because there's so many religions and there's so many,
Mhm.
as I talked about in my book, there's so much
Mhm.
that's going out here in this world that
Mhm.
you need to understand and get to know God for yourself. And if you don't know God for yourself, there is an invitation awaiting for you. In
Mhm.
order for you to learn how to hear the voice of God and to understand who God is and what he means to you, come on, you have to begin to get to find God for yourself.
Yeah.
Get to a place where you understand that you are lost and you need
Mhm.
a savior. That is the first
Mhm.
initiative, that you need to understand that we need a savior. And
Yeah.
when you allow the Lord to come into your heart, and you make him Lord of your life, then that's when you can begin to ask the Lord to speak with you. And that's where it begins first. You got
Mhm.
to want to receive what the Lord has provided for you. He paid the
Mhm.
price. And so
Mhm.
and it's available to everyone that believes. And so when you begin to cry out before the Lord, come on. He said, he said, if you cry out, he said,
Yeah.
cry out before me. He said,
Yes.
I will answer you.
Yes, sir.
I
Mhm.
will answer you. So that is the way that you can begin to learn how to hear the Savior's voice.
Yeah.
Cry out to God.
Yeah.
Ask the God, who am I? What am I? Why am I here? What am I here for?
Mhm.
And those are the things I had to keep in my heart in order
Mhm.
for me to continue to pursue purpose, this life
Mhm.
that he has given me, to have this drive that he has given me, even to continue in my ministry. Everything is not all perfect. But one thing I can say, my relationship with him has has completed me and made me well, to where I can believe that I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me.
Strengthens you.
That's good. I think one of the really important things, or another one of the important things, because there's a lot of things that
So
we've
many.
talked about
Yeah.
today, it's so many, but I love how you the book kind of outlines how purpose is revealed in the process, right? And so as you process through it, as you go through the journey, purpose begins to reveal itself. And so even
Absolutely.
for Roscoe, how he thought it was one way, but as he journeyed through, God began to give him relationships here, and he met this person over there, and you all
Absolutely.
begin to do certain things, and it began to reveal what God's purpose was for him as
Yes,
opposed to what his desire was. And
absolutely.
so, anyone reading the book, again, just understanding that there is purpose in everyone, but that process is unavoidable. And that
That's
process is so
it.
necessary. And it's the process that reveals us and fortifies us and prepares us, even for you to be who you are today, right?
Absolutely.
Like, that whole thing had to happen for you to have 2020 and for you to do
Yes.
all the things that you're doing and be able to share in that way. So
Yes.
it's something that we have to value and we all have to go through it. So if Roscoe was somehow able to read this book, he was somehow able to know I have a book out there that's all about me and my singing and my beautiful eyes and all the things. What would you want him to be able to say? What would you want him to watch? And then even for your daughters, because I know one of your daughters wrote the preface of the book.
Mm-hmm.
How do they feel about it, reading the story of their mom and dad?
Well, the one that wrote the forward, she's like, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, Mom, I don't know if I really want to read this or not. I said, I said, I am going to keep it real with you because even growing up, even in her 15 years of knowing her father, she never did know, she won't know these stories that I have written. So she
Mm-hmm.
really don't, she don't know what she's going to be getting into. And so
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, she watched me go through the losing a husband and losing
Mm-hmm.
everything that I had in 1 year. She watched
Mm-hmm.
me do those things. And so she's
Mm-hmm.
seen me go through the ups and downs and coming out
Mm-hmm.
on top of things, being resilient. So she's like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. And she's like, I'm so excited, but yet I'm not excited. I told her I'm going to keep it real with you now. It's raw, uncut stories that are being told. I said, but you know what? That was my life. And I said, in the beginning, I said, I want to let you know these things that I'm sharing as a testimony to let the world know is not to bash your father,
Mm-hmm.
not to say that he was the worst ever. I said, because that's not my intentions in writing
Mm-hmm.
this story. So I
Mm-hmm.
just wanted to just let her know ahead of time, there's gonna be some stuff in there, that stories that's being told that you don't know about.
Said some things you got to read like this.
Once I prepared her to begin to embrace, the insight, well, yeah, I think it's going to be a good read. But above all, she's like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. Now the
Mm.
older daughter, I don't know, because to really be honest with you, the younger daughter, kind of like has processed and still is processing being without her father, and she's come
Mm-hmm.
through it. And the older
Mm-hmm.
one, I could just say that it's she has taken it a little bit harder, and so
Understood.
everybody process grieving
Mm-hmm.
differently, and so
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. I'm compassionate
Mm-hmm.
about that, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with that. But yet, I can't hide my story. I mean,
Yeah.
I needed to tell the story so that
I think the
his
power is they
legacy.
can now see you not as just as a mom, but as a woman.
As a woman,
Oftentimes
yes.
Absolutely,
we forget
absolutely,
that our
absolutely.
moms were women
For
before
women,
they were
yes.
mothers, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it'll help
Someone
them
said that to me
cultivating
the
their
other
own
day.
stories.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
someone said that to me the other day. She says,
Mm-hmm.
Greta, I don't think your daughters have ever seen you as being human.
Yeah.
That made it kind of difficult for them to probably will make it difficult for them to read this story and process it the way you did, because they've
Yeah.
never seen
Yeah.
you human. They've always
Yeah.
seen you as a mother
That's right. And their mother. And
and
it's
their
something about,
mother.
Very
yeah, I
specifically,
didn't,
their mother.
yes, their mother. I didn't fully realize that until I had my own daughter. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden it was like, you just see the world differently now. You're like, oh, my mother
Mhm.
was Becky before she was ever
Right,
my
right,
mom,
Yes.
right.
And because I have to, even for myself, I'm like, man, I had a life before this, and you just
Right.
begin to see things a lot differently. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
Mhm.
my discovery is now that my mom and I have changed roles, I too am breast cancer survivor. Hello, warrior sister.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yes,
Man.
yes, the
Oh,
very the yeah,
Jamie,
we
we must connect.
this is not the end of this story, honey. Where is not the end of this story, but watching my mom take care of me, and then after I came out of that, she had she had to deal with a cancer fight, and so then I was taking care of her. So being her caretaker, seeing her fears and frustrations and anticipations and all of the things, I
Mhm.
began to see my mom as woman first, and
Mhm.
recognizing her dreams and what she thought her life was. And I had
Mhm.
told her, told her one day, I said, "I'm sorry, Mom, I didn't make you a grandma." Now my sister has children, and so she has. I said, "I'm sorry, I
Wow.
didn't make you a grandma." And she said, "I said, I don't think I was called to be a mom in a traditional
Mhm.
sense." And she says, "I don't know if I was called to be a grandmother." And when she said that, even though we were just having like a lighthearted, casual
Mhm.
conversation, like it dawned on me, right? Like
Mm.
we don't think about the assignments that are on our life, and how
Right.
the people that we're attached to, how their assignments begin to change as our assignments begin to change. And like
Mm-hmm.
it was when she said that, whether it was joking or not, we didn't even go into it after she said it. But I was like, wow, I had all
Yeah.
this pressure on myself to be a mom and to do the things. And man, what if that wasn't my mom's assignment? Like that,
Right.
what if she's
That's the
relieved,
thoroughness
right?
of God,
Ah,
right? That is so
absolutely.
amazing because he's like,
Yes.
I'm not going to do something for you that I'm not going to make sure that I make it right with the person who's connected to you, right?
That's
Like, that's just
right.
so amazing how he
It
works.
freed
Yeah.
me because I
Yes.
grieved
Mm-hmm.
not being a mother for a very long time, and very honestly, some days I still do, because I wanted 6 kids, real honest,
Wow,
but when
you
you
did.
honey, I wanted a big family very early.
Aw,
And even though I was getting older, I was like, okay, Lord, there's still time, we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
But life and health and God, most importantly.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, and you begin to, and that's why I appreciate your story so much. And I want people to really hear your husband's story, because when you do it God's way,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
eyes have not seen, ear has not
Mm-hmm.
heard, nor has it entered the heart
Yes,
of man what
Yeah.
God has in store for you. When we
absolutely.
can change our perspective to His, like
Yeah.
letting God write our story, it's such an,
Absolutely.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
trade it for the world.
And
I wouldn't
in
trade it for
writing
the
the
world.
story, and I figured that because he died such an early age, I did not want his legacy to die.
Mm,
Mm.
So I said to myself, if I can put it in a book so that the world could know that everything, even though that his life was taken so quickly and abruptly and shortly, the life that he lived, he completed and he did everything that God had given him an assignment on this earth to do. He
Wow.
And so I
Yeah.
want his legacy to live, not only
Amen.
in of what has been told, but there is a book. You will see
mm,
that his life, it wasn't all a failure.
Yeah.
You did it, and
Yeah.
his
and
dream
writing
came
the,
true. His name
the
will be known.
dream did
Yes.
come
Yes.
true. And so that's
Yes.
why I said at the end, babe, we did it. We did it to
Yes.
death do us
Yes.
apart.
And
Yes.
side note, you need to go on these YouTube clips and see him live and in person. I was able to see him. I said it makes sense. I see it. I understand.
I remember I was like, I think I'm like, I told my husband today, I said, I think Stephanie went on the YouTube to see if I was telling these stories to be true.
It was research, Greta. I
She's
had
a
to do some
visual
research.
learner. She's visual. You didn't have pictures in the book.
Because the stories that I was telling, I'm like, I know she think I'm lying. I said, but this story
Well,
was really true.
had to go and see. I'm gonna tell you really what it was. She talks about how handsome he is throughout the entire book. I said I have to see it for myself. I have. I needed to be able to be a witness to it.
And I talked about his
Well, see, I
voice.
just I
This,
And
just
his
believed
voice.
you.
I
Yes.
I
said
just
he
believed you,
was
Greta. She didn't believe
voice.
you. I believed you.
I had to make sure I was editing in truth. So
Ah, and I know that there were some stories that, throughout our time being together, of, segments and stories that I was telling you about different types of people in real
Yeah.
life. That
I,
happened. I know you had to
I
look that
know.
up
I had
too.
to
I'm
tell her,
like,
are
oh,
you sure? You sure you want to keep these names in here?
Right.
Are you sure you don't want to rethink
You
this?
sure?
I'm
You sure?
telling you,
You want
you
to pray
got to
about
read
it?
the book.
Has the
It's
Lord
I
spoken?
said, Stephanie, you gotta help me. I said, no, I
yep.
don't.
I,
I don't want nobody coming after me and suing me.
Right.
listen,
Right.
I said, just
Right.
consider, just think about it. Think about it for a minute. Let me know. No, but
Greta,
it is a phenomenal book.
this will not be the last time you will be on our show. We want to thank
Yes.
you for being the first guest to level up. We thought
Yes.
it was just fitting,
Hmm.
it was
Thank
God
you.
ordained, because we really want this show and this podcast to be an opportunity for authors to bring a face to the pages, right? And we
Yeah.
all sit before you as authors. We've all written
Mm-hmm.
books, and we all know the birthing process that
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
occurs. But we
yeah,
also want to know that you can do it. So for those of you that are out there that want to write a book, it is possible. Your
absolutely.
story matters. And if there is one
Yes.
person whose life you impact, then it will all be worth it. And for those who have written books and you've kind of put it on the shelf and you don't talk about your book anymore, we want you to know that your story is still relevant. And so we want to have you on
Absolutely.
our show. We want to bring your story to life. But Greta, you have set the tone. And for that, we
Yes, you
truly
have.
bless you. We
Thank you,
truly bless
Jamie.
you,
Yes,
sister.
and
Thank you,
thank
Yes.
you.
Stephanie.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'll
Well, we've talked so much
continue.
about your book, Greta. You
Really?
have to tell people how to get it.
Absolutely.
Oh, Amazon actually will be
Yes.
what our debut is going to be March 8th, Sunday.
March 8th. Yes.
Yes, right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Today.
to
Yeah,
so
today.
what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do my, I do
Yeah,
my
he's
monthly
gonna do
live. We said today. So I
Right.
do my
today.
monthly lives. So what I think I'm going to do, I do my usually do my monthly lives. I forgot to tell you, yeah, I do Facebook Live as my
Okay.
ministry. And so
Mm.
what I'm going to do is do my live Sunday and beyond promoting uh,
Yes.
the
Awesome, awesome,
deaf
awesome.
book.
What time is your
Awesome.
live? What time is your live?
Usually I do it at 7 o'clock, but see, since we're going to be doing the promotion of the book, I think I'm going to start it at 3 o'clock. The same. As
Yes.
I'm doing my live, I'm going to do the promotion as well.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So, for everyone who is watching this and you are inspired, you are nosy, whatever the case may be, and you want to get this book, you want to hear all about her story, life out of death, get the lessons, read the stories, hear her heart, you can go on Amazon. We want you to, we need you to go on
Yes,
That's
Amazon,
right.
yes,
right? Between
We're
3
gonna
o'clock
make this a
p.m.
bestseller.
Yes,
yes,
and
yes.
8 o'clock p.m. And we want you to
Say those times
buy
again, Steph,
her
because I
book.
interrupted you.
Sure, 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock, right? So
Mm-hmm.
3 8, right? 3 o'clock p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Go purchase her book. Go on Amazon, and we want to push her book to bestseller. We want to make sure that it accomplishes what we know it's supposed to be accomplishing. So go share it to everybody. Get it for a gift. Whatever the case may be, buy one or two of them, three or four of them. Let's
That's right.
support
Or case, whatever.
Greta.
We're not picky.
Absolutely.
Right. We're not picky.
And also watch for the notifications because I am going to get on and give you notifications on my Facebook page to let you know that Greta Preston's ministry will be doing her lives because normally it's on Wednesday. So I could
Hmm.
not do it tonight. So I will be on Sunday, you guys, at 3 o'clock doing
Yes.
my Greta Preston Wednesday evening live. That's what the name of the live is, Wednesday evening live, but I'll be doing it Sunday, this Sunday coming up, March the 8th at 3 o'clock for 1 hour.
Superb.
Okay. And that
Great.
allowed me to promote it as well.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, thank you,
Well, thank you,
Greta.
Greta.
Thank you. Thank
We'll
you
see
guys.
you
Yes.
back.
Appreciate you guys. You guys made it much easier to accomplish what I set
We
out to
just
do. And I
girlfriends
just want to
talking.
thank
We
you.
just
Right.
girlfriends
Yes.
talking. We just
I love
girlfriends.
you
Yes.
girls. It feels like I've
Oh,
been
we
knowing
love
you
you
guys
too.
forever.
I know,
That's the
right?
I
spirit.
know.
That's the
Yeah.
spirit. That's the spirit. That's the
Yes.
spirit. So you guys
And
stay tuned, like, subscribe to our channel, all
Yes.
things 220 Communications, but make sure you follow 220 Publishing so that you can see who will be the next author on Level Up.
Yes.
So
And share
we
this episode too
yes,
absolutely.
to all of your platforms. Yes.
yes. Thank you everybody for watching.
All right.
Okay.
Have a great night.